Leno built a life defined by motion, constant work, endless performances, and a deep belief that stopping meant falling behind. From stand-up stages to late-night television, he thrived on momentum. Even serious accidents failed to slow him down, reinforcing his identity as someone who simply kept going. But life has a way of introducing challenges that cannot be outrun. This is the story of a man who spent decades in motion, only to face a moment where slowing down was no longer a choice, but a necessity shaped by love, responsibility, and changing priorities. The early drive to keep moving, long before fame, Jay's mindset was forged through struggle. As a young comedian, he lived out of his car, chasing gigs across cities just to survive. He didn't view work as optional, it was essential. Each performance was another step forward, another chance to stay afloat. That mentality shaped his entire career. Even when success came, the urgency never faded. He treated every opportunity as temporary, something that had to be earned again and again. This relentless pace wasn't about ambition alone. It was rooted in survival, forming a lifelong habit of constant motion. Work as identity, not obligation. For Jay, work wasn't something separate from life. It was life itself. He often described his career not as a job, but as a series of gigs. That distinction mattered. Jobs could end, but gigs were ongoing, fluid, and always within reach. His time hosting a major late-night show reflected this mindset. He showed up early, stayed late, and approached each day with discipline. To outsiders, it looked like overwork. To Jay, it was stability. Movement meant control, and control meant security. Over time, this approach became inseparable from who he was. Comfort in constant motion cars, comedy, and routines gave Jay a sense of order. Whether performing on stage or working in his garage, he found comfort in doing. Stillness felt unnatural, almost threatening. His belief that consistency outweighed talent drove him to maintain a relentless pace. Missing a day once meant risking everything, and that fear never fully left him. Even as wealth and recognition grew, the instinct remained. Motion wasn't emotional, it was practical. Keep moving, stay useful, avoid being left behind. That philosophy defined his life for decades without serious interruption. The garage fire that changed everything. In late 2022, a routine moment turned into a life-threatening hadith. While working on a vintage steam car, a fuel leak ignited, engulfing Jay in flames. The injuries were severe, with burns covering his face, hands, and chest. He required immediate medical care and multiple surgeries. For most people, such an event would force a complete stop. But Jay responded differently. Even while recovering, he minimized the severity, using humor to deflect concern. Within days, he returned to performing, showing the same refusal to pause that had defined him for years. Recovery through humor and defiance. Jay's return to the stage wasn't about physical readiness. It was about maintaining control. Comedy had always been his anchor, and he leaned on it once again. By joking about his injuries, he reshaped the narrative, turning pain into something manageable. However, those around him noticed the strain. Doctors advised rest, emphasizing the importance of recovery. Jay, however, prioritized momentum. He saw himself not as injured, but as still capable. This mindset helped him cope, but it also revealed a growing tension between his willpower and the limits of his body. The motorcycle crash, a second warning. Just months later, another accident reinforced those limits. While riding a vintage motorcycle, Jay collided with an unseen obstacle, resulting in broken bones and serious injuries. Unlike the dramatic fire, this incident was quieter but equally impactful. It forced a longer recovery, one that couldn't be rushed. For the first time, his body resisted his pravichka to push forward. Movement became difficult, and daily tasks required assistance. The pattern of accidents began to feel less like coincidence and more like a signal that something needed to change. facing physical limits for the first time. This second hiatus introduced a reality Jay could no longer ignore. His body demanded rest in ways discipline couldn't override. The pause he had avoided for decades became unavoidable. Friends and fans shifted their reactions, from admiration of his toughness to concern for his well-being. The conversation changed. It was no longer about how quickly he could return, but whether he should. For someone whose identity was built on constant motion, this shift was profound. It marked the beginning of a deeper realization about limits and the cost of ignoring them. A personal challenge beyond work. Then came a challenge that no amount of effort or humor could solve. In 2024, Jay's wife Mavis was diagnosed with dementia. The condition gradually altered their life, disrupting routines and memories. Jay made the decision to take legal responsibility for her care, ensuring her safety and stability. This wasn't a professional obligation. It was deeply personal. Unlike his career, this role offered no applause, no audience, and no clear resolution. It required patience, presence, and a willingness to slow down in ways he never had before. Redefining purpose through caregiving. Caregiving changed everything. Jay began structuring his days around Mavis's needs, prioritizing consistency and familiarity. This role demanded a different kind of strength, not endurance, but steadiness. He turned down work, not because he lacked passion, but because his priorities shifted. The man who once thrived on constant activity now found meaning in quiet routines. It was a profound transformation. Instead of chasing momentum, he embraced stillness. Instead of performing for millions, he showed up for one person, day after day, without recognition or reward. Conclusion: the meaning of finally slowing down. Jay Leno's story isn't about failure or decline. It's about evolution. After a lifetime of motion, he faced challenges that required a different response. Accidents tested his physical limits, but it was love and responsibility that ultimately changed his pace. Slowing down wasn't a defeat. It was a choice shaped by what mattered most. In a world that celebrates constant activity, his shift toward presence and care stands out. The man who never stopped moving found his most meaningful role not on stage, but in the quiet act of simply being there.